Let's get your top story, and that is a win for the West Bengal's government in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has gone on to say that Mamata Banerjee's government's case against the centre is valid, and this is, of course, it has been the government versus the CBI as far as the cases in West Bengal is concerned, and the West Bengal government had revoked the general consent for CBI. So now the next hearing that's going to be coming up next month on the 13th, but there are wide ramifications over federalism is what was said in the Supreme Court today. And to get more on this, we have my colleagues Saurabh and Sunil Prabhu joining us. Saurabh, to you first. Highlight the grounds on this big win as far as Mamata Banerjee's government is concerned.
This is a win as far as Mamata Banerjee's government is concerned. But, look at the history of general consent in opposition parties. Now, what is general consent? Basically, it's consent for the CBI to operate seamlessly. And then, of course, general consent withdrawn means that the CBI cannot withdraw, I beg your pardon, the CBI cannot, register cases. Now, this, of course, is something that's been a political issue as well. And if you look at the history of general consent, it was, Mizoram, of course, first that withdrew it. But beyond that, if you look in recent times, there was Chandrababu Naidu's Telugu Desam party in that withdrew general consent. Then the Trinamool Congress did it. Then also, Chhattisgarh did it, Punjab, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Kerala and Jharkhand have done it. And there has been a lot of political debate over the functioning of central agencies, and that's been the voice of opposition-ruled states and opposition parties who say that these agencies have been misused by the centre. And that is one of the allegations. And then, of course, you have several cases where cases have been handed over by the courts after hearing arguments on both sides. In a way, this has also led to, in certain ways, the idea of general consent being withdrawn, really being diluted. Because what has happened in most cases is that the parties have gone to court with, asking for a CBI probe. And in several cases, this had been political parties as well. And then the courts have heard the matter and handed over the cases to CBI. That has been one part of the developments. But in this case, this is going to be a larger sort of, clearance from the Supreme Court on what general consent and how these things function. Also the Supreme Court has made it clear that this has ramifications on federalism. I think we have Dr. Shantanu Sen joining us from the Trinamool Congress. Sir, the West Bengal government's sort of stand that the general consent which was withdrawn way back in 2018, but the CBI continues to sort of function in the state, and and this has been the accusation of the TMC that these agencies have been misused. Today's verdict is important from the Trinamool Congress's point of view. Dr. Shantanu Sen?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Dr. Shantanu Sen, if you can hear me, this is Saurabh from NDTV. Sir, today's
Am I audible?
Today's verdict is very important for the Trinamool in the Supreme Court. Yes, sir, you're audible. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Now it is crystal clear to all that CBI, which was formed in the year 1963, now they only work at the behest of Bharatiya Janata Party, and it has become the most trustworthy political wing of Bharatiya Janata Party. And the central ruling party uses this central agency against the opposition political parties, and the opposition political party rule states to gain their political benefit. And it has been proved time and again by several such activities. So definitely it's a welcome step, and it's a victory of our government. It is a victory of Mamata Banerjee, who has been demanding since long that CBI cannot do any investigation neutrally because they have already made themselves a political tool of Bharatiya Janata
Party. Ma'am, if I can come to you, of course, this is something that, the BJP also has been demanding CBI probes in several cases in Bengal, and the courts have very often agreed and handed over cases. How does the BJP look at this development in the Supreme Court?
Good morning. You see, the main thing here is once again the Supreme Court of India has given a tight slap to the Trinamool government, and it has been repeatedly observed that in general, if you look at the the wrongdoings in West Bengal, if I may use the word wrongdoings, if the police and the government had been a little more active and caught Shah Jahan, in this case it is Shah Jahan's case that they're referring to, they didn't have to wait for some 55 days and caught the miscreant. Then I don't think anybody would have wanted or even thought of asking the central agencies to come in. Because you must understand, Shah Jahan is not a one-off case. Shah Jahan had been booked for initially ration scams because his name was associated with Jyotirmoy Malik. But then when the CBI, when the inquiry started and when the soil was being unearthed, we realized that there are three major cases against him. In fact, there is a gentleman called Shukritam Shawkar, who is, I think, the SDP or the SP of that area. The police had given a press conference saying that they have only arrested Shah Jahan because of the land cases where he's taken land from a lot of locals without proper legal documents, and they have arrested him because of the incident that of assault on the CBI people. If you remember, that
I
the ED
understand,
had
ma'am.
come to raid.
I understand, and these are, ma'am, these are arguments that the High Court heard, and of course, in a sense, handed over the probe to the CBI. But specifically coming to general consent and today's development in the Supreme Court, what has happened is that the Supreme Court has also held today that the federal structure, this has wide ramifications on federalism. So, and that's the word that opposition parties have been using. How do you respond to that is my question.
Right. Supreme Court has also said that in the same statement, I think, Supreme Court has also said that why is the Mamata government so hell-bent on protecting one individual? So there is, I don't think that the federalism is in question here. That is why I started my talk with the first line, that if the state government had been a little more proactive and had utilized the police properly and had allowed the CIB to do the proper investigation, then there would have been no question of central agencies stepping in. Why do the central agencies step in? It's only when the state government
Absolutely
and their
right.
police don't do anything.
Right, ma'am.
And that is where
Right.
BJP is
Right,
saying
right.
in all
We're running short of time, but thank you so much, Dr. Shantanu Sen and Shatripa ma'am, for joining us on the broadcast. But this is going to be an important case to watch, and we'll keep our eyes on the hearings when they take place in the Supreme Court in September.